is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the blow, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. Better Rivers sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Well, welcome everyone to Betting Weekly Live. It is June now, Monday the 2nd of June. You with Steve Wyss and Rory Jiwani. Rory, good to see you on the show. Last minute swap with Nigel. Nigel's going to be on tomorrow now. Thanks for stepping in, and I hope you've been doing well.
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, been following the French Open, and it was funny because especially the women's tournament, we were talking about it being such a tough draw for the big players. The top half of the draw was loaded compared to the bottom half, but all the big names have got through pretty much. You know, world number one Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek. She struggled through yesterday against Elina Rybakina, and in the bottom half, Miran Draper and Coco Gauff are both through. So it's, even though on paper they had very tough draws, they managed to make it through, and now we're down to the last 8. So that's exciting. The men's is going on, a couple of men's matches going on as we speak, and that getting towards the business end of that competition as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been dominated completely by the French Open as tennis recently. The build up to it felt quite big as well this year in particular, with Sinner coming back and everything like that. So, and more on your outright soon with Madison Keys, and we are going to talk French Open for the majority of this show. But it's Betting Weekly Live, so I've got to say welcome in everyone. How was your betting weekend? What about the Champions League final? Who won and lost on that? Thanks everyone who joined in the live betcast. But good to see Rick Haley, Ming Chung, Duncan Evans, Mark Mint as well, Rachel Saavedra, good to see you, and Maserati Fox as well. Subi, as mentioned, Pegula lost. That's a big shock. We'll touch on that for sure. And of course, there's live games going on now. Cam Norrie against Novak Djokovic, Jack Draper in action as well. Head to the Bet Rivers website. You can bet in play for that. In terms of the weekend, notable winners and losers. The biggest winner on the sportsbook was Maya Stark to win the Women's US Open. Someone managed to get on her at 175 to 1. That's a massive winner, isn't it, Roy? It really is.
Not bad at all.
Very, very good indeed. I mean, notable plays in terms of money. $42,000 was on Jacob Fernley moneyline against Cam Norrie, and that was unfortunately a loser. $37,500 on Sophia Kenin live on the moneyline against Madison Keys. That was a loser. Biggest soccer winner of the weekend, that was nearly 8,000 on San Diego on the double chance against Austin. And a loser, though, the biggest soccer loser was in the St. Louis game against San Jose Earthquakes, nearly 10,000, losing on over 1.5 on the first half. Goals from the Champions League, the 5-0 score, an incredible win for PSG, was 150 to 1 with Bet Rivers, and there was a ticket on it. Someone did have a ticket on it on the sportsbook at 150 to 1. It was the most popular match of the entire season by total tickets placed in soccer. And in terms of the most wagered, only just behind the semi-final second leg between Inter and Barcelona. So there was a lot of money placed on that Champions League final. Rory, I know you're a man across all sports. I bet you were stunned by that 5-0. I've never seen such a one-sided final in my life.
No, I think we're talking earlier. I remember AC Milan winning 4-0, I think. But that was just devastating. And it's funny because my son's an Arsenal fan, and we were kind of after the Europa League final, because obviously Spurs winning the Europa League will play the winner of the Champions League final in the Super Cup next season. And I asked him how many he thought PSG might put past Spurs, and he said 12, which I'm sure won't happen. And interesting noises around White Hart Lane at the moment. You know, even though Ange Postecoglou won a trophy, he could be on his way out. But PSG, I mean, and they look they did look the best team in the knockout stages. You know, they knocked out Liverpool, Aston Villa, Arsenal. They looked very good. And it's amazing that having sort of almost got rid of the big stars, you know, Messi went, Neymar went, Mbappe went, that, you know, they've got in Luis Enrique. They look like a proper team. And some of the signings have been very good, but it's that team ethic, you know, and has been fantastic. And worthy winners. I felt a little bit sorry for Inter by the end of it because they'd done so well to get there, but PSG, very worthy winners.
Yeah, do you know what? Funny enough, I tweeted last year when they got knocked out of the semi-finals that PSG will never get a better chance to win it. Especially, especially I knew they were losing Mbappe. I always felt that to win the Champions League, you've got to have, you know, one of the top 3-4 players in the world, right, in your squad. Look at what Messi and Ronaldo, when teams that win the Champions League like that, you go back and there's not too many that have kind of won it just by being a great overall sum of the team. But that's what Luis Enrique has managed to do here at PSG. They've got a lot of very, very, very good players. Would you have any of their players in the top 5 in the world? You probably wouldn't. It's debatable here and there. Maybe the wing backs, someone like Hakimi, but it's not like, you know, Mbappe, the likes of Bellingham, Haaland, you know. So they Luis Enrique, fair play to him there. Duncan Evans said he had Djokovic to win the first set 6-3, and of course it ended 6-2. Ming Chung, PSG to win the Club World Cup. They're 5-1 now to win the Club World Cup. Ming, Champions League. I've got a graphic for next year's winners' odds. And Meninda, I mean, I don't know whether we'll have a post-mortem. I mean, in terms of James, we don't really need to do anything at all, do we? Plus 30 units. More of the same, please.
Absolutely.
I was looking at myself. I lost on the 2-unit play by 8 units. I won on the hot dog by about 7 units, and I won the 1-unit play by about 5 units. That was my own personal plays. I don't know about anyone else, Meninda. But yeah, for whatever reason this season, I did a lot better on the bigger odds picks on the shows. It can sometimes happen that way. Duncan said Inter were absolutely terrible in the Champions League final. They were. And Steve from Limbs crushed the North American Champions League final. That was also 5-0. Cruz Azul, 5-0 against Vancouver Whitecaps. Vancouver Whitecaps didn't even have a shot, not even a shot in the game, let alone on target. And Brian M is wondering if there's any downhill skiing worldwide. Somewhere there's snow in the world, Brian. I don't know where. I'm guessing towards, I don't know, Argentina or somewhere or whatever. Towards Antarctica. But you never know with Rory on the show. You might get some quirky picks going off piece, quite literally.
Boom. Yeah.
And here is the Champions League odds for next season, just for those who are interested. Liverpool are the favourites. Real Madrid plus 650. The defending champions PSG plus 700. Nigel will be on tomorrow with me, and we're going to discuss more about the fallout from Munich heading into next season. Also, Premier League winner. But put in chat who you fancy to win the Champions League next season. It's 12 months away, but there might be someone at a big price. Personally, Atletico Madrid always interests me at a big price because I do believe they are the sort of team who can beat anyone over one match or over 2 legs. And they were very unlucky to get knocked out by Real Madrid this season. So they always interest me at a big price today, Rory. But French Open, let's get going. I mean, first of all, I've got to say congrats to you. You've got a Madison Keys, you advised her at 40-1 outright and 7-1 to win quarter-4. She's just won. You're now, you've got a lady here into the quarterfinals against Coco Gauff. So you're on her at 7-1 to win that match. I don't know if we've got any odds yet for that, Rory.
I've been looking. Not yet. Yeah. I've been waiting for it.
What would you expect the odds to be? Are you in hedge territory here? And are you excited? 40-1? Down the line potentially?
Well, my logic was when I saw the draw, because we looked at the draw, the top half was really tricky, the bottom half was much easier, and I thought Keys and Gauff were the outstanding players in the fourth quarter, and I thought if it came to a quarter final between the two, I thought Keys would. I think Keys will probably be maybe plus 200, plus 250 absolute tops. So, getting $7 about that I mean, obviously she had to win a few matches to get there, but I couldn't see the discrepancy in the price because I think Goff was plus $5.50 or $6 at the start. So I couldn't really see the discrepancy in the odds, and I thought that was out. I thought that was wrong. The last time they met on clay, okay, it was in Madrid, so it was altitude, so that favours Keys, but she won last year in Madrid. She's got a pretty good record against Goff. Goff will be the favourite. She deserves to be the favourite, but I think Keys has got a chance. Am I in hedge territory? I might do something in play. If Keys is up in the first set, she goes a break up, or maybe she goes a set up. Maybe she goes a break up in the first set. That might be my time to hedge. But I think she's got a chance. And if she got through, she'd place the winner of Miran Draper and Lois Boisson. And, someone mentioned that Boisson stunned Jessica Pegula earlier. Now, Boisson, at the start of the tournament, she was $750. She had some success on clay last year. She won a challenger tournament and she won a few ITF events. But then she injured her knee just before the French Open. And this year she's been on the comeback trail. She's won some matches. And she's been doing pretty well, and she's been outstanding here in Paris. And she's a real proper clay court player. She mixes it up, and she varies her game a bit. She's got a really good backhand slice, which Pegula struggled against today. I think Boisson could cause Andreeva some problems, but in that bottom half, back to the original point, there's no one that scary. Whoever wins Keys against Goff may well. I mean, if it's Andreeva, Keys would probably be the underdog for that, but it wouldn't be she wouldn't be a big underdog for that. Whereas in the top half, it's really difficult.
Yeah, it's funny with hedging. I'm always more inclined to hedge if I'm on the actual favourite. I feel like it's a really hard hit if you don't convert one of your favourite into your outright future. It feels an awful lot worse. I mean, I was on Inter to win the Champions League at 18-1. I'd already won the place half, getting them in the final. So it kind of was a little bit of a moot point. But I wouldn't have been even thinking about hedging unless they got into a lead in that final. It didn't even cross my mind to hedge. But if there'd been if it'd been the other way around, I would have been strongly considering to hedge on PSG. It's funny how the mind works that way. Yeah.
It's all psychological, isn't it? It's not logical, really. But you kind of just feel like you want to lock something in.
Yes.
But there's obviously Nigel hedging is for gardeners. I could totally see why that makes sense. You can. It's all about probability, isn't it? And this is the one where if you want to cash, if you want to win big, you stick it out, and hopefully this is the one that wins big for you. Lots of different schools. I think if you're sitting on if it's a big amount of money, it probably makes sense to hedge rather than walk away with nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you and Nigel could be going head to head in the semi-finals. Of course, he's got Andrey, hasn't he, on the outright pick there, 5-1. So exciting times in the bottom half of the draw of the ladies. Harry Doty says he cashed Keys 7 or more aces at 5-1. Well done. And it looks like Keys is going to be plus 180. Andreeva minus 5.5 games in the quarterfinal looks a good bet. Boisson, I mean, that's an incredible shock. I think she's the world number 300 and something. More like Poisson in France than proper big fish winning there today. But
say hi to Harry because he does like his aces bets, does Harry, and one's come in. Well done, Harry, on that one with Keys. It has been playing a bit quick, actually, the last couple of days, and tomorrow it's going to play fairly quick as well. It's been quite fast, but we've got today. We've got one remaining. Well, as we said, there's a couple of matches in progress, but we've got one remaining men's round of 16 match, and it's the world number 1 Jannik Sinner against Andrey Rublev. And unsurprisingly, as you can see, Sinner a very big favourite, heavy favourite, minus $25, and it's very hard to oppose him because he demolished Yuri Lehechka in the round of 32.
Yeah, how do we get value out of this game then, Rory? Or do we leave it alone?
I think
Is there anything
it's
here that
hard. I mean, the spread I thought was interesting. I think that should be minus 150 Rublev, but Sinner plus 120. I mean, Sinner has struggled a bit with Rublev in recent times. So last year they played twice within a week. Rublev won the first in 3 sets, then Sinner won the second in 3 sets. Those were on hard courts. Rublev had a walkover in the last round over Artur Fils. He hasn't been that impressive so far. I just think, there is a chance Sinner could run away with this because he's in form. He looks really good. He barely looks like he's been away. But there is a question mark because Rublev has given Sinner problems. So I think it's best to just leave that one alone. I mean, that one's later. That starts in 3 hours, I think.
Yeah, and of course, Betting Weekly Tennis Live coming up in about 2 hours' time. You'll be able to get the thoughts of the boys on that, Mitch Michaels and Dustin Fox today. Just a breakdown on the game. 82% of the tickets are on Sinner. On the spread, the 69% of the tickets on Sinner as well, and 84% of the money. That's the one that interests me the most in terms of the spread, but still people willing to back him on that handicap. The over-under money is very much split. 52% of the money is on the under. So it's a proper 50-50 in terms of that one. Sometimes the best option is to leave it alone if you're not seeing the value, if you've not got a strong opinion of things. Put it in the chat if you can find a way. I mean, Rublev, Dean Blake saying there Rublev can cover the 8.5. That's generous. He's thinking 6-4, 6-4, 6-2. I wonder what that would pay if you got the exact score sets.
Decent price.
Would be a good price, wouldn't it? But in terms of the ladies tomorrow, there's also a men's game we'll talk about. But the ladies, I mean, are we on course here for this incredible semi-final, which would be Sabalenka against Swiatek? Even I'll be watching that one, Rory. I've got to be honest. Absolutely. I mean, both are clear favourites. -4.5 on the games. Zheng can be a dangerous customer, though, right? Especially here on clay. Let's start with that Sabalenka game. Which way would you be going in terms of the spread, the games?
Yeah, I think, Sabalenka was made to work yesterday by Amanda Anisimova, and Anisimova ahead on the head-to-head, but, and she was in real trouble, Sabalenka, end of the first set. Her serve got her out of trouble. I think she was 5-all and 15-40, and she hit a couple of aces, a couple of unreturnable serves. She just produced the goods when it mattered, and she was quite comfortable after that. But Zheng is, she won the Olympic title here at Roland Garros last summer. She's the last woman, the only woman for years to beat Iga Swiatek at Roland Garros. And she did beat Sabalenka for the first time when they met last month in Rome. Similar conditions to these. So yeah, it was 6-0 to Sabalenka, and then Zheng won in straight sets in Rome. I think Zheng's a little bit big here on the money line. Although, as I said, I think it's playing quite quick at the moment, so that's going to help Sabalenka and her power game. Although Zheng does rely a lot on her serve as well, so that might not be that big an advantage. If I had to have a bet on this, I'd go over 2.5 sets at +160. I think that's quite a reasonable price, but it's just a lean for me. I expect it to be reasonably close. You could look at overs games as well, because Zheng is going to be quite hard to break. But it should be a very good match.
And Swiatek, of course, was pushed in the last game as well. Big time. It looked really bleak for her, didn't it, early on? She's even shorter in her match, -345 to beat Svitolina. Same handicap, though, on the game line, -4.5, slightly bigger odds in that. The game line's one notch lower as well. Swiatek, is it a good or a bad thing that she was pushed? She came through it. It's kind of both edges of the sword, really, there.
Yeah, she was a set. She lost the first set 6-1 to Elina Rybakina yesterday. She was 2-love down in the second and somehow found a way of getting it done. And, I think she's not the player she was 12 months ago. She hasn't reached a final since she won the French Open last year. And she's looked vulnerable. You know, she's looked eminently beatable this week and a half so far. It hasn't happened yet. And when I was talking to Nigel before the tournament, and I looked at the draw, and as we said, the top half was stacked. I thought Svitolina was interesting in that quarter, but I just didn't see a way she could beat Swiatek. That was my thinking then. But now I think she's got a chance. I mean, she came back from the dead against Jasmine Paolini in the last round, last year's runner-up. She was a break. Well, she saved, I think she saved 3 match points in the second set, and then ran through the decider. She's got home advantage because she's married to Gael Monfils, so she's very popular. The crowd will be behind her. Her only win over Swiatek was in the Wimbledon quarterfinals in 2023. I think Swiatek will probably win. I probably will play Svitolina on the money line because I just think it's a little bit too big against Swiatek, you know, who's not at 100%. She's just not at the top of her game. But I think the best bet is overs games. You know, you've got 20.5 there. That's -112 over 20.5. But if you move the button across on the site, you'll get to over 21.5 games, and that's +110. I mean, this could easily go 3 sets, but 2 long sets will cash. When they met last in Miami earlier this year in March, Swiatek won, I think it was 7-6, 6-3. So that was 22 games. So that would have cashed. I also think over 2.5 sets is big at +175. But I think over 21.5 games at +110 is the way to go. And for me, I'll be, you know, my sort of strategy for the tournament, and Nigel as well, was trying to get Sabalenka and Swiatek beat. You never know; it might happen to both of them tomorrow, and that would be good for us.
Yeah, and I mean, if they do both win, then they'll meet in the semi-final. Ming Chung's asking who would win out of Sabalenka and Swiatek. They are both +220 to win the French Open outright. So I would imagine that Bet Rivers would price this up about -110 each, probably. Yeah. Proper pick'em game.
Proper pick'em, but I'd be all over Sabalenka. I think, as I say, Swiatek should have been beaten yesterday. And I think Sabalenka will have too much for her. It also depends on the conditions, because the slower it gets, the better it is for Swiatek. And we are due a bit of weather in the next couple of days. So if it is a bit cooler, and they've both got to get there first, that would give Swiatek more of a chance. Tomorrow's going to be, I think they're going to be tested. Both of them are going to be tested tomorrow. And if they get to the semis, they'll have done well. But if they do meet in the semis, as you say, that should be a cracking contest.
Absolute blockbuster. Sir Isaac Newton said he's parlayed Alcaraz and Sabalenka at about 6-1 there. He's assuming Alcaraz will win the men's draw. He is -112 to win the French Open. That men's game that we are going to talk about now, Lorenzo Musetti against Francis Tiafoe. Musetti a big favourite here, -500. Nearly. It's not really Tiafoe surface, this one, I presume, Rory. 6.5 games, though, for Musetti to cover. You can change this on the Bet Rivers site. You can change your handicaps, so you don't have to be 6.5. But are you seeing this as one-sided as the odds suggest?
I am. I mean, they're both through to their first French Open quarterfinals. But Musetti, I was saying to Tim Dennis last week on Betting Weekly Tennis Live, he's such a great player to watch. I mean, when he's on song, he's got every shot in the book. You know, he's probably the closest I've seen to Roger Federer for a few years. He's got, you know, he's a real flair player, great to watch. Good win last round over Holger Rune. And before that, he beat back Mariana Navone, the Argentinian, who's a tough opponent on clay, dropped the opening set, came back to win that 3-1, beat Rune 3-1 as well. Tiafoe hasn't really faced anyone at that level so far in Paris. He's done really well to reach the quarters, but Musetti really should win this. And the odds tell you that. I mean, they're 3 apiece in completed matches that they've played. They're 3 apiece, and Musetti's 2-1 up on clay. All 3 of those matches have gone to 3 sets. Of course, this is best of 5, being a men's Grand Slam. But Musetti's such an improved player this year. I think he wins reasonably comfortably, and Tiafoe will put up a fight. He always does. He's a real slugger, and he gets the crowd going. He's a real entertainer. He has won a set in all of their previous meetings, and that makes me think I'm gonna go for Musetti to win 3-1, as he did in his last 2 matches, and that's plus 245. So Musetti 3 sets to 1. At plus 245 is the bet for me. I think it's just going to be, he is a clay court specialist. Tiafoe isn't, and he's in such good form. But Tiafoe might get a set, so I'm going to go for that bet, 3 sets to 1.
Yeah, I'm liking the value that you're finding here today, Rory. And I was just having a play around on the Bet Rivers site there. You mentioned the 2 ladies' games there tomorrow could possibly go over 2.5 sets. The double pays plus 615 for those who are interested. Not an official play by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just floating it out there for those who might want to consider it. And I mean, your best bet from all that lot that we've mentioned there, you think is that the over games in the Sabalenka match? Would you say, or would you go something else for your best bet?
Overs in the Svitolina Swiatek. Over 21. So it shows we got over
That's
20 on the screen. It's over 21 and a half for
Svitolina
Swiatek. Okay. I think that's my best bet of the day.
And just before we go, we've got another 2 or 3 more minutes here. I mean, that bottom half of the draw now, the Boisson result. Someone was mentioning about the next match there, Andreva. Could we get some magic from her again, or are we in a position? Nigel always says that once someone's had a really big win, and that sounds like a really big win for her, then fade them the next match.
The Sealy auto fade.
Yes. Would you agree with that in this instance? But it's the French Open, isn't it? She's got the crowd behind her.
She's got the crowd behind her. All the pressure's going to be on Andreeva. And Boisson's going to give her a real different puzzle from. She's not like most of the players on the tour. She plays a lot of slices. She mixes it up. She's got a good serve as well. I mean, she can hit winners. But what she did so well against Pegula today was just varying the depth. So sort of bring her in and then hit a deep one. And she attacked the Pegula forehand quite a lot. Almost every forehand that Boisson hit was cross court to the Pegula forehand. So she's got good tennis IQ. She was tactically really sound. After dropping that first set, she played some really, really good tennis. So I think it's going to be tricky. I mean, I'm looking at the odds. I mean, I think Boisson's around sort of plus 450. Looks to be the odds on her.
Plus 650 with
plus 650.
Minus 1,000 on Andreva. Is that a wheelbarrow job on Andreva? Minus 1,000. Put them in your parlay. Put your kids on her. Put the dog on it. Whatever.
Plus 650. To me, that sounds big. I mean, I totally get Nigel's auto fade. I'd say is a good one, but she's had a couple of big wins. Before. I think she her first win was against Elise Mertens, who's had a chance in that open quarter. Obviously, beating Pegula, the world number 3, is much, much bigger. But she's got nothing to lose. She's reached the quarterfinals, which is incredible for her. It's a wonderful achievement. Andreeva will be under pressure. Everyone will be expecting her to win. She's the young star of the tour. I think it's going to be a bit closer than the odds suggest. And I think Boisson, the way she plays, she could get into Andreeva's head a bit.
Interesting. I mean, Andreva, of course, is the wonder kid, isn't she? There's always been the next really, really big player. So you're right, the pressure will be on her there. Harry Doherty is going with Rublev 10 plus aces versus Sinner at plus.
Good luck with that one.
31 aces in his last 2 games. How many aces is he going to get at Wimbledon and on the hard surfaces if he gets aces like that on clay?
Yeah,
that's
Draper's going to be one to watch on the quicker surfaces. I mean, I've been really impressed by Draper here. Well, all year he's been very good. But he won Indian Wells, which is pretty slow as far as hard courts go. Didn't do so well in Miami, but he's entitled to a couple of dips in form. But his form in the European clay court season has been extraordinary. He's in the first set against Andrey Bublik right now. It's going with serve. And I know John McEnroe, amongst others, talked him up here at Roland Garros, but I didn't think he'd do that well because it's not his natural game. And I think it's almost like whatever he does here is a bonus, that old cliche. It's kind of, when we get to Wimbledon, the US Open, he's a real contender. I mean, it's hard to see outside Alcaraz and Sinner here. And even Djokovic, turning the clock back at the moment, you can't write him off. Although I was prepared to do so a couple of weeks ago, I'm not so sure now. But Draper going great guns on the clay, which is really good sign for the rest of the season.
Meninda says about PSG's odds for the Club World Cup. I mean, I was on them before the Champions League final at 8-1. They're now plus 500 with Bet Rivers. I mean, Jack may well have moved that market with the weight of money that he has on certain bets. I don't know, Meninda, but I still like PSG even at 5-1. In the same.
Are they favourites?
Joint. There's about 3 joint favourites now, I think. Probably Man City, Real Madrid. Real Madrid might be the favourites. I think Atletico are in the same group as PSG, but I quite like that because they wouldn't be able to meet until the final if they finish in the top 2. I always look at Atletico Madrid, like I said, Rory, because I think in a one-off game they can beat anyone with the style they have. If they're that bothered about the Club World Cup, some teams might not be bothered.
This is it. I mean, this is what I'm thinking. Obviously, it's a new tournament, long tournament, format's a bit weird. Are all these teams going to be bang up for it? It's just, I don't know. There is that uncertainty, isn't there?
I mean, I was actually watching Seattle Sounders last night in doing some research for the Club World Cup, and I looked at the way they were defending. They're in the same group as PSG as well, and some of these European teams and South American could absolutely have a lot of fun against these defenses from clubs around the world. But that's part of the fun of it, isn't it? That's part of the fun of it. There'll be shocks as well. There'll be some shocks somewhere across the board. And Rory, we really thank you for your time on Betting Weekly Live today. And for stepping in. Me and Nigel will be on tomorrow. And just a couple of house specials to mention today. Any NBA finals to go into overtime, plus 275. Any goalie to record a shutout in any game of the NHL Stanley Cup final, minus 143. 2 house specials there. And the notable live stream, of course, French Open. You can watch Sinner against Rublev on the Bet Rivers app and website. But best of luck with whatever you are taking today in the world of sport. Mostly Roland Garros, no doubt, but there's probably action going around the world in other sports as well, which you might want to get involved in. We've got Betting Weekly Hardball, of course, with Doug Kazarian coming up later, and the Fast Break Show, which has been on fire of late. So do join them. And the boys on Betting Weekly Tennis Live at 1 p.m. Eastern. That is Mitch Michaels and Dustin Fox today. And we've got Tim Dennis on with Nigel some stage this week, and Mitch and Nigel in addition. And Rory, thanks again. It's been great to have you on this show. Best of luck with Keys. Cash that big winner.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed.
Take care, y'all. See you next time on Betting Weekly Live.